it out of the park. Let's bring in Cliff AVRIL, who was outspoken about Pete Carroll, is outspoken about everything. And look at him, talking about a well-dressed man. Making us look terrible, Cliff.
Sorry about that.
First of all, I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh, what?
Because I got my notes. So in 1 hour from now, I have Lane Johnson of Philadelphia on.
Yes.
Now, I'm a loudmouth, and when I do criticize players, I always invite them on the show. I invited Baker on, Baker Mayfield. I invited Richie Incognito on. I blasted T.O. I invite them on. I always appreciate that. And Lane Johnson, I have blasted, and he's coming on today, so I love him for that.
Yeah.
Total respect for that. But he has my least favorite quote ever, and I hear you agree with it.
Yes.
He's, oh, God, I get sick to my stomach reading this. He says, you know, I'd much rather have fun and win a Super Bowl than be miserable and win 5.
Yeah, yeah.
That is awful. You agree with him?
I agree from the standpoint of so I've been on both sides of it, right? I've had Coach Carroll, who's a player's coach, and I've been in Detroit where we didn't
was miserable.
It was to the point where I hated driving to work. Like, on my way to work, I'm like, man, I can't wait for these next 7 hours to go by. I can't wait for this next 8 hours to go by. And it just made the day longer.
Right.
I didn't enjoy the game. When I got to Seattle, I enjoyed the game. I don't think one time in 5 years I was like, oh my gosh. It was more like, I can't wait to get to work. We're gonna have fun. It was a fun atmosphere.
Okay, so Seattle's known for a fun atmosphere.
Yes.
Now, I've argued, and I think you've agreed with me, there's a lot of noise, and it was very pro-player.
Yeah.
But in the end, that dynasty closed quickly. New England isn't necessarily anti-player, but it's work.
Yeah, I hear it's not fun, though.
Well, who do you hear that from?
I can't name guys, but no, I've heard that it's very militant. It's no different from a lot of other teams in the NFL. I mean, it's very militant. It's by the book. There's no laughing. Some organizations you have to have your shirt tucked in. It's like that militant.
You don't like that?
No, like that doesn't make you a better football team. As you can tell, there's a lot of teams that don't win with that same philosophy. But now with Coach Carroll, his philosophy was a lot different, and he's won a lot of games over the last 8-9 years.
Not as many as that militant Belichick guy.
Yeah, but he
militant.
also hasn't been coaching as long as the militant Belichick guy either. I mean, Coach Carroll in the last 8 years is probably one of the top winningest coaches out, right along with Belichick.
So you would rather win less and have a little fun?
I would rather have fun. That's what it boils. Because at the end of the day, I mean, all these guys, that's what made them so good. That's what made them so great at what they did, is they were having fun doing it. Now, when you bring the business aspect of it, you bring the militant aspect of it, where it's dreadful to go to work, I don't think you get the best out of your players when you do that. So
there's a couple stories here that I think you can really relate to. You were on an 0-16 Lions team.
Yes, I was.
That was miserable. And I don't think the Raiders are a very good football team. And although I do think offensively they'll win a few games in this league because they have players. Gruden has come in. He trades Khalil Mack. A loved, great player to key position. So, you know, I watched them this past weekend, and Cliff, that second half looked like those guys came from that locker room and they were beaten. The body language for the Raiders was terrible. So what is going through that Raider locker room now? New coach, not winning. You're not even in the shadow of playoff teams. What's going through those Raider players' minds right now? Well,
it's the uncertainty, right? When you get a new coach, they want their players, right? When I went 0-16, pretty much the next year, Coach Schwartz, Jim Schwartz came in, and he pretty much got rid of everybody. He tried. I think at one point he tried to get rid of myself and a few other players as well. So when coaches come in, they want their players. They want their quarterback. They want someone that's going to buy into their philosophy. He might feel like the people before him, they're not all the way in, and he can mold the new guys into being his players. So I think that's the biggest thing with the coach aspect.
Right.
And from the player's perspective, it's the same thing. It's like, man, I don't know if he's going to keep me around. I don't know, I don't know if I'm going to be
That can't
here.
be good for a locker room.
No, that's terrible. And again, the mentality of being militant, because he's probably extremely hard on him. The first year, the new head coaches come in and they try to, make things their way. And a lot of players might not be with that philosophy, and it makes it to be a miserable locker room, makes it to be a miserable time being at work. And if guys aren't having fun, I really believe, they're not going to be successful on the field, and it'll show.
Another interesting thing, you were critical of Pete Carroll. You said, a lot of his kumbaya stuff does wear old. But I will say this. Seattle has rebuilt its team. They are a run-first team now.
Yes.
And you're a sportscaster in Seattle now.
Yeah.
And I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so I watch him. And I've been critical of Pete before, too. But I got to give him credit. They have stuck with some of those young offensive linemen. They are now a 60 to 64% run over pass team. And I've watched them the last 3 weeks. Russell looks comfortable. They don't turn the ball over. They're taking it away. Seattle feels interesting to me.
For sure. They got a lot of things going right. I mean, they're running the ball extremely well.
Really well.
Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think they've had over 100, 120 yards of rushing. And also, you know, that opens up the offense so much for Russell. Russell's not running the ball as much as he used to.
He's not.
But he doesn't have to either if you have a running back that can do it for him. So he's not taking the pounding. And then it opens up the play action. It opens up those explosive plays that you see Lockett getting. Now Doug is getting back in the mix of things. So they have a good combination of things going on. And then on the other side of the ball as well, the young D linemen that they have with Frank Clark, Jaron Reed, Quentin Jefferson, all those guys are playing pretty well as well. I mean, last week they had 6 sacks. So if they can, they're figuring it out. And Coach Carroll has the right group of guys with him right now that believe in his philosophy, that believe in the message, and they're figuring it out. And I think a lot of people were questioning them going into the season. This year, I think they're going to be better than a lot of people thought.
No, the last 3 weeks I've watched them, and there's Pete's done a nice job to kind of reboot it. Let's get back to physical football, and they've really looked efficient on offense. No turnovers, running the football, converting third downs. Okay, so the NFL, you know, listen, most jerseys that get sold are offensive players.
Yep.
But I believe that what you want to do if I ran the NFL, I want to protect my players. You guys are assets.
Yep.
I want to protect all of you. Now, defensive players are complaining about the game now. But I'm watching Aaron Donald. I'm watching Von Miller. I'm watching Khalil Mack. Just like everything in life, pilots have to retrain. They're stripping the ball. They're grabbing players. They're not throwing them down. In the end, even for a guy like you that was a pass rusher, the league is better. You all make more money if quarterbacks are not driven into the plants.
Yeah, yes and no, but we have to protect everyone. If we're going to protect, if we're talking about player safety, we have to protect everyone.
Don't you still get a sack, though? You still get credited and get a bonus check if you get a sack. You don't get bonus points for driving them into the ground.
You get, but the thing is, people are tearing their ACLs, and people are stopping on sacks because they're worried about bringing this guy down. They're not worried about these chop blocks as much. They're not worried about these hands to the faces by O lineman to the D lineman. It's more so just one-sided. That's what D linemen feel as if. For me, I feel like it's a good time to be out of the NFL as a pass rusher because guys it's just a lot harder to make sacks. It's a lot harder to tackle someone, you know, because you have to process this all in a split second. Sack fumbles definitely are key. And
that's become a big key. Guys are going for the ball.
But guys are also missing a lot, too. So for me, that was a big thing of mine. I used to love getting sack fumbles because it was, one, a lot easier than actually bringing them to the ground. But then, two, I didn't have to worry about how I tackled the quarterback. So more guys are conscious of that. I still think it's unfair because, say, a D tackle, he gets pushed into the quarterback. Now he has to try to maneuver and get out of the way, and now he tears his knee up. Or now, you know, he misses a sack, and the quarterback still launches it for 30 yards. That's not fair to the D lineman.
Cliff Averill, 10 years, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champ. So it's an interesting thing in regards to Green Bay. We watched last night. Now, there are obviously, in the NBA, I see time and time again, players, star players, giving up money to go play with other good players. We rip Kevin Durant, but Kevin's like, I'm going to get fewer shots and less money and win. I have always defended players who are willing to move to a place that doesn't help them individually or financially, but they go for the win. Because I think as a player, I'd want to be in a winning team. I wouldn't want to be in a crappy team.
For sure.
But it is interesting. Green Bay can't land free agents. But I could go and join Aaron Rodgers. So, because in the NBA, Paul George is like, I'll stay in Oklahoma City. Kawhi Leonard's like, I'll go to Toronto. I'll stick around in Toronto, win games. Why don't players go to Green Bay? Is it that bad?
The difference, though, now you comparing the NFL and the NBA, there's guaranteed money, right? So the money is a lot different. So and in the NFL, you only have your window to maximize what you're going to get is a lot shorter. So are you going to risk going to Green Bay, per se, and take less money and you blow your knee out. Now you don't have the opportunity to make that money back, right? So you're going to go after the money first and then worry about winning.
So you generally worried money first.
Yes.
Yeah, and then money first, and then, like, let me ask you, how much would Green Bay have had to pay you more for you to go there? Be honest.
With the winning team and the weather, shoot, a couple more dollars for sure. Quite a bit, yeah.
Now, what would New England have to pay you more to go, knowing it was militant?
In comparison to going to Seattle?
Yeah.
It'd have to be a lot more, too.
Okay, so you got to pay me more if I'm in a small town or if I got a militant coach?
I mean, now, don't get me wrong. Now, if I don't have any other options, then, of course, I'm going. But if I have options...
That's what I'm saying. Good players have options.
Yeah, good players have options. If you have options, you're going to go to where, one, you feel like you can serve, you'll thrive in the defense, and then, two, how much money you're going to make. I mean, going to Seattle is a no-brainer. There's no state taxes. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different things that play a role into where you go. In the NBA, it's a lot different, again, because, one, they're on the road a lot, and then, two, their money's guaranteed. So you can't really, I don't think you can really compare those two, the two leagues from that standpoint.
By the way, Paul Allen, Microsoft co-founder, owner of the Seattle Seahawks, great for the Pacific Northwest. He gave a lot of money in Portland and a lot of money in Seattle, and he passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you know Paul? Did you often see Paul?
Yes, Paul used to be around a lot, actually. He was one of the few owners, I believe, that after a win, he would literally shake everyone's hand, like all 53 players, coaches, staff, everyone hand after a game. And to me, that's pretty cool to see. That's humbling. And then it's like he disappeared after that, too. Like, you wouldn't see him. He's not the rah-rah guy. He's not the guy that's...
He's not meddling.
No, he's not. He's not in anybody's business. He shakes your hand, tells you it's a good game, and then you see security and everybody's gone, and then Coach Carroll kind of goes into his whole thing. But that's cool to see because, I mean, one, we're talking about a billionaire here. Like, he could easily want the spotlight on him, and he didn't care for that. And then also you talk about just some of the stuff he's done in the world from a philanthropy standpoint.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, and he supported all his players that did the same. I think that was huge. It shows that he wanted to make a difference in the world, not just in Seattle or just for himself.
Cliff AVRIL. Great seeing you, man. Happy for you.
Me.
He's a sportscaster in my hometown, Seattle, on, what's your station? Give it a plug here.
Oh, 950 KJR.
Okay.
10 to 1 every day.
Okay. I got buddies on the other station, but that's okay. That's fine. Thanks, Cliff. Good seeing you.
Thanks for having me.
Top of the hour. It is our herd hierarchy. Coming up next, LeBron Lakers debut, NBA debuts tonight. That's next.